All right, welcome everybody to our April Forgotten Grapes Wine Club virtual tasting. We are so excited to have Natalie Albertson of Wildflower Winery of Ventura with us today. As you may notice by the vertical orientation, Allison is on location. She is on assignment in the Umpqua Valley today and will only be joining us for a bit of today's virtual tasting. So it will be the best virtual tasting that we've had in quite some time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
Guys,
before we
unmute yourselves and
get
tell you how we're
started,
unmute.
all right, I'm gonna mute you, Allison, because that's really loud. There we go. Sorry. I'll unmute you when we talk about what we're going to talk about in a minute here. But before we begin, of course, ground rules as always. We've got the chat going. So if you're interested in asking Natalie any questions or have any comments during the presentation, throw those into the chat. I will be asking them over the course of the discussion. And if we've got time at the end and Natalie will allow it, we'll open it up to some questions if folks want to talk to her or ask questions or all that sort of good stuff. Now, before we truly begin, Alice and I have some very exciting news. And yes, now I will unmute Allison. There we go.
So one of us, we're almost to our destination, but I definitely want to be on to talk to you guys about our exciting announcement, which some of you know about already.
Yes, which I think a lot of you know that we are organizing the Festival of Forgotten Grapes on Saturday, June 29th. We do officially have a location for it now. It is at a place called Frankie LA in downtown LA on South Mission Boulevard. And most importantly, tickets are available right now. So you can go to festivalofforgottengrapes.com, pick up your tickets. We have early bird tickets available for $49. Those will jump up to $59 as of May 15th. But most importantly, we have a very limited amount of VIP tickets. The VIP tickets are going to get you 90 minutes early admission. So you're going to get 5 full hours of tasting with our 30 plus wineries. You're going to get a seminar with Wes Hagen, California winemaking legend Wes Hagen. Before the tasting even begins, Wes is going to be doing a presentation on how the forgotten grapes became forgotten, about the history of winemaking in California. Should be super interesting. Most importantly, you're going to get free delivery on any wines you purchase at the event. So at the event, you'll be given a
$79.
what?
$79 for the VIP.
Oh, is it 79? I thought it said 80, but 79. You're saving a buck. Look at that. You're already making your money back. But free delivery. So either Allison or I, if you order any wines at the event, we'll be picking them up. Similar to what we do in the wine club. You guys know how this goes. But we'll be dropping them off to you for free, no matter how many wineries you order from, no matter how many different wines, no matter what the quantity is, free delivery either way. So it's a fantastic deal, and a chance to really taste some tremendous wines, as some stuff that's not available at any wine shops near you. As you guys know, with our club, we're giving you wines that you're not going to find pretty much anywhere outside of the tasting rooms at these wineries.
And
so
I'm going to jump in because now I have the van to myself, so I don't have people talking. But basically, with the wineries, we do have some bigger name wineries. But what's cool is we've got their forgotten grapes. So these are not wines you will find in grocery stores. These are their special wines. These are the wine club wines. Natalie, unfortunately, is not available to join us, but she will join us next year. But these are the kind of wineries that we will have. We know that it's early. We know that you don't like to always plan 3 months in advance or 2.5 months in advance, but we encourage you to. Carrie was our very first person to sign up, so we don't have to remind him.
Yes, thank you, Carrie.
But we are excited about this, and we hope you'll tell your friends and tell other people who are interested in being original and drinking different and being bold and having fun and trying new wines and meeting the winemakers. And then we will be also having a dinner the night before at Tess Restaurant, working out the final details. But it'll be really fun because it's going to be Wes Hagen and Bob Lindquist. And it's not a competition, but we are sort of putting a Chardonnay against a Godello. We're going to put Pinot Noir against Grenache. It's a competition. We want to take traditional pairings for grapes like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet, and have obscure grapes or forgotten grapes that will also pair as an alternative. And we have these two legends who are going to be at the dinner with their wines, and it's great because all the wines are from Santa Maria Valley, so you're getting a real continuity of place with these different varieties. So that'll be announced soon.
Yeah. And what's very cool is we're getting the count of forgotten grapes that we're going to have featured at this event, but right now it's looking like it's going to be upwards of probably 75 different unique varietals that are going to be poured there. So just a huge, wide breadth of different grape varieties. And what's also cool is we have wineries from as far up north as Mendocino and down into Ventura and LA County, and all points in between. In fact, today we had an urban winery from Oakland that reached out to us, and another one from Bakersfield, of all places, which I'm really intrigued by. So
I'm from Bakersfield.
oh,
Who is
nice.
it?
They buy their I noticed they buy their fruit from everywhere from Rancho Cucamonga to Paso Robles, but their tasting room is in Bakersfield.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
it's called San Rucci, so we will
Yeah,
see if they
yeah.
come aboard. But
I've been there.
focused,
Nice family-run winery. Good
yeah,
people.
focused on Italian
San
varietals,
Rucci.
so really interesting. But yeah, just some big names that you've definitely heard of, some small guys that you haven't, some wineries that have been featured in the wine club before, quite a few that have not. So you know, it's definitely worth your while to come on out, tell your friends. It is going to be the wine event of the year. Definitely the wine event of the summer. Probably the wine event of the year, I think. So
Yeah.
anyway,
And if we can,
festivalforgottengrapes.com
if
right
you
now.
guys all, and if you all support it, then maybe we'll do it again next year, but not in the summer.
Yes.
You can also follow it. Follow us on Instagram at Festival of Forgotten Grapes. Follow us on Facebook, Festival of Forgotten Grapes, and and we'll be sending out more invites. But we did want to let you guys know we're just doing sort of a soft launch right now, so we'll be pushing this pretty hard in the next couple of weeks. But the wine club is our primary audience. You're the first people we created this with in mind, and
Yep.
so we hope that we'll see you on the 29th.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Allison, for that very
welcome.
important public service announcement.
And
And
thank
now
you, Chris, too, for yours.
you're welcome. And now to the main event, which is our very special guest tonight, Natalie Albertson. Natalie, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And we always love to start out by asking you, what is the most memorable bottle of wine that you've ever opened?
Yeah, so there have been a few memorable bottles, I feel like, throughout my journey in wine. I think the first wine that I tried was a sparkling that my grandma had picked up from Trader Joe's. Not memorable. But I think the first time was New Year's Eve. My sister brought a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, and just tasting how different that was from the Trader Joe's champagne my grandma had, just kind of blew my mind. So, and then I'll give one more, and that was when I was living in Sicily, trying a Frank Cornelissen Susukaro. It was a rosé at that time. I don't think it's rosé anymore, but a carbonic wine. It was light and fresh and coming from California, where I had, California cabs in the heavy down by Temecula and Paso. So those were the two bottles that that were most memorable in my journey.
So how were you able to taste a California wine while you were living in Sicily?
Well, we lived near a base and you could get California wines, but growing up in California, my husband and I loved going to different wineries and tasting and seeing how the journey that wine can take you on, I felt like. So we lived in San Diego, so Temecula was the closest at the time. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but
hey,
no,
you don't know what you don't know. So it was
that
great.
is true. And you got to start somewhere, and everybody, the journey of 1,000 wine experts starts with a single sip, right? Not a single step, but a single sip.
For sure.
So Cool. So we're going to start tonight by opening up your 2022 San Ynez Valley Viognier. Just a beautiful, beautiful color on this wine. I mean, that's just gorgeous. It's kind of right in that sweet spot of you get a little bit of that honey blonde, but it's not too golden. Very nice. So how did a girl from San Diego become a winemaker?
Yeah, a girl from Bakersfield originally.
A girl from Bakersfield who then was in San Diego and somehow Sicily. We got a lot of
Yeah.
dots to connect to.
I know. I've lived many lives. Uh, I loved wine. Our first wine club that we joined was Tablas Creek. It was just I just love wine. The aroma, sometimes I could just sit and smell wine. And then yeah, my husband works for the Navy, so we took a job in Sicily and civilian. So moved to Sicily for about 4.5 years. And that's where I learned wine tasting, not wine drinking. I'd got the wine drinking down part. But yeah, there it was wine tasting, and you sit down at a winery and they give you a plate of cheese and olives and meats, and they and sauce, then they bring out sausages and pasta, and it's an experience, and they leave the bottles on the table, and it's like, you trust us with this. So it was just a whole different experience around wine. And then we moved to travel. And so every place that we went, we would seek out the local wine region, and we would try our best to go there, or to try the local wines as much as possible. And it was interesting how it's just a different culture around wine in Europe. So
Yes.
yeah, moved back to the States in January of 2020. And then I had done a tasting certification, the WSET, when I was over there. Flew up to Milan with a girlfriend of mine, and we did a bucket list thing.
Nice.
And then moved back to the States, and decided to keep going with that, and thought that I wanted to go on the other side of that. I'd made sourdough and kimchi and sauerkraut, and we've made cheese, beer, kombucha, everything.
So
Everything.
you're a queen of fermentation.
Yeah, we're yeah. I don't like to say that we're yeasty, but we're like fermenty. How about that?
Certainly, yeah.
So yeah, I started the UC Davis winemaking certificate program that summer, and made my first vintage at the same time.
So what was it about wine? Did you always know when you were fermenting these things that wine was kind of the end goal? Because obviously you could have very easily become a cheesemonger, you could have become a baker, you could have become a brewer.
Yeah, cheesemonger is in my next life.
Okay.
No, I just sought to I was the person on winery tours asking all of the questions about fermentation and how the grapes are grown, and they would always ask, "Do you work in wine?" And I was like, "No." And they said, "Well, maybe you should think about it." And I was like, "Nah." I was a nurse in my original job before moving to Sicily, and so then I guess a stay-at-home mom for those 4.5 years, had 2 kids, and then came back to the States, and it was like COVID happened, and I was like, I don't think I want to be a nurse anymore. So decided to pursue my other passions, and I have a very supportive husband, and I could not have done this without him. So it
Nice.
made a world of a difference.
How did the kids adjust from living in Sicily to coming back to the United States?
They did good. I mean, it was also COVID, so what part of adjustment, like what is that versus the I don't know, reinitiation into US life.
It's like a quarantine, basically. They came to the US and were immediately quarantined, basically.
Yeah. It's different. It's different. So they did good though. They're good, resilient kids, and we'll pay for therapy later on. So, yeah.
So you started your Davis training during COVID. What was that like? What was it like to have to learn winemaking, under quarantine? Because you're the first person I have talked to who started their training during that period when it was so isolated, and winemaking is such a physical activity where you can do it yourself, but I mean, you really need to be kind of around other people to engage.
Yeah, that's where I produced at a custom crush that first year. So that was very helpful. Also made friends with the guys in the back, so it was easy for me to be more hands-on than as sometimes at those places. I also I just had wines that I liked and that were unique and interesting to me, and I would go online and I would look up to see if they had a technical data sheet,
Hmm.
and I just absorbed all that info. I was like, this was picked at what pH, what did they do for how many days, and does that make this, and how does that affect the wine, and no oak, oh okay, and this one has oak, and so it was just connecting those dots and figuring out like what wines I really wanted to make myself. So made 5 wines that first year, a sparkling pet nat of Chardonnay, Viognier. I loved Viognier, traveling through France. So good. And Carbonic Grenache, which you'll have in a little bit. A rosé, and then a red, the Syrah. So it was, a little crazy, but
I was going to
don't
say
regret.
that's like a master class in a single vintage, basically, because each of those is such a unique technique of winemaking and requires such a different set of skills that it was a bold ambition to start that way.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just had all these separate wines that I was like, well, if I want to make this, but then I want this, and then I don't know, like, of course I could have not done all of that. And that would have been cheaper and more reasonable and smarter probably, but to some people, but it worked out.
You wouldn't be where you were today if you didn't start
No,
that way.
no, yeah, we went hard, dove head first in, and no regrets. So yeah,
Go big or go home. That's what they say.
yeah.
So Viognier, one of the first wines you made, what was it about Viognier that really attracted you to it and made you want it to be one of the first wines and the first white that you made? You mentioned your time in France. Was it just that much of a separator from everybody else that you were like, this is what I must do?
No, it was seeing the different expressions of grapes. So, um, my first year was a little bit more traditional. It was from a warmer climate, Temecula, not Temecula, but Templeton Gap. Warm days, cool evenings, good acidity, but it still was more like yellow peach, honeysuckle. Um, I've also loved the Viognier that I had in Temecula, when we lived in San Diego. So seeing how different it was from Temecula to France, and how, like, making that connection that these are the same grapes, but they have different expressions, grown in different areas, different climates, picked at different times, all of that. So wine is an agricultural product.
Yes, it is.
So it should be different. It should not be highly reproducible. It should not be taste the same from bottle to bottle, or from, vintner to vintner.
Don't tell that to Gallo and Treasury Wine Estates.
I feel bad because the people, and when I was starting out in my wine, tasting, drinking, pairing life, it was like, I go to the store, I know that if I pick up this variety, this will be good. And it wasn't, it's not, it's different, you can't just pick on the grape. Yeah.
No, and unfortunately, it seems like a lot of wine brands are moving to the point where they don't even want to have to put the vintage on, that they know, their wine, the prisoner is going to taste the same year in and year out, and they've got a very specific, it's kind of the McDonald'sization of wine. For better or worse. I mean, there's certainly obviously there's plenty of revenue
Worse,
data
for
telling them
worse.
I agree it's for worse. So you started off making Paso Robles Viognier in 2020. How did you decide to transition to this, leaner, more acid-driven side? Were you looking to find a vineyard, to find grapes that were closer to the spirit that you found in France? How did that come about?
Yeah, a little bit. I wanted a little bit closer to home fruit. I'm in Ventura, so up to Templeton was just a little bit further than I wanted to drive with grapes. Um, it's usually me picking up the grapes or my husband helping, driving a stake bed truck up there, or a trailer connected to our little Tacoma. Um, but yeah, 2022 was an interesting year. There were a lot of heat waves. That year I picked before the heat waves, and I picked it 22 bricks, or what,
Oh,
what
wow.
they sampled was 22 bricks. Um, and it came in a little under that in the winery, which is fine. I'm always okay with a little bit lighter alcohol and lighter bodied wines. That's kind of my style.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's unique for Viognier because normally they'll say, oh, it's at 22. And then by the time you get there, suddenly it's jumped up to 23, 24, 25, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so this is my oyster wine. It's my fish wine. It's got all that minerality and fun. Yeah, more white peach than yellow and honeysuckle and white tea, and it's a fun one. I love how different it is from my other ones that I've done. So, yeah.
It really is. Do you have kind of a model in your head or something that you're shooting for when you're producing this wine, or are you really just letting the grapes in each vintage speak to you?
Yep. Yeah, literally. Like sometimes I'm talking out loud to the grapes, and I've been doing punch downs. I'm like, what do you want to be?
And what do they say?
Yeah, that one said it wanted to be sparkling, so I made a sparkling red. Yeah, sometimes you just have to go by intuition. I'm Cherokee, and I'm trying to pull on those, indigenous roots of the feeling and spiritual aspect of things. I feel like there's spirit in everything. There's creator, or whatever you think that is, in everything. So I try to, I don't know, pull that into my work as well.
That's interesting. I'm hearing about more and more winemakers who are introducing more spiritual aspects to their wines, whether it's doing blessings of the grapes before they are crushed, whether it's rubbing crystals over their barrels or
Mhm.
infusing their wines with, crystals,
Yeah.
chanting mantras to the wines as they're crushing it, all
Hey
sorts of
man,
things. Do
whatever
you
you think works.
exactly? I was going to ask you, I mean, have you seen a difference? Do you think it makes a difference?
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess everything has atoms, and atoms are vibrating, so there is like an electrical charge to everything. So maybe there's something to it. I'm not gonna not, yuck someone's yum. So if that works for you, for me, I just try to. I have the other wine. I have a Sangiovese that I call Good Intentions. Just come to everything with good intentions. I come to every harvest with good intentions. I'm bottling with good intentions. I'm making a little bit lower alcohol wine with good intentions, with low intervention wine with good
Nice.
intentions. So
Yes.
I hope that comes across as something. Yeah.
I figured you're just a big Gin Blossoms fan and you decided
Yeah,
to name it after a Gin Blossoms song. But
that too.
yeah, awesome. You mentioned oysters with this wine. It does have that beautiful acidity, and there is some really interesting, almost saline notes to this,
Mhm.
which I like. This is the first Viognier I've had that has that. Do you think that's has to do with this particular vineyard?
Yes, yeah, the soil at Brick Barn, it's just outside of Buellton. It's sandy. You walk through, and your feet sink down a little bit. So there's definitely I believe, and with the winds that they get, and I'm sure that comes right in off the ocean. So that definitely affects.
Nice. And how did you come upon this particular vineyard? Was this a vineyard you'd been targeting for a while, or did somebody recommend it to you?
I think I reached out to them. People ask how do you find vineyards and grapes that you want to work with. Sometimes it's just Googling grapes or trying a wine that I like, and I'm go to see if the vineyard has any fruit available for that year. I believe with the Brick Barn, I just was looking for, like I said, looking for Viognier a little closer to home. I Googled, and their website, they say that they don't use contact herbicides. They use manual means to remove uh, weeds and things like that. So that told me that they were farming more in line with my goals. So, of course, biodynamic or organic certified is the goal. It's really hard to get down here. So, organically farmed, minimum no glyphosate, things like that, where I'm going.
Why do you think that is? Why are not more vintners growing in biodynamic or certified organic styles?
Yeah, I saw 10 tons of a certain fruit available last year. And so I messaged them. I was like, hey, I'd love to take some of this off your hands. Do you use contact herbicides? And he said, we do. And I said, oh man, that's such a bummer. Let me know in the future if you don't, and I'd love to work with you. And he said, we will not.
Oh,
So I don't know. I even said it was a rough year last year. It was really wet. So we had lots of weeds. I understand that. I take care of two small vineyards up in Carpinteria.
hmm.
And I'm out there with the weed whacker, it's a lot of work. So I understand that it can be hard, but it's also not great for the environment, for drinking water and things like that. They say that glyphosate's in the rain at this point, but we got to do what we can to minimize that.
Wow, I'm super interested how you came about managing a couple of vineyards, because I know, it's an entirely different skill from winemaking. Was that something that you wanted to pursue, or was this just an opportunity that fell into your lap?
Two opportunities that fell into my lap. My friend told me, don't do it. My friend Patrick Cavaletti, he said, don't do it. He warned me, so I can't say that I didn't know. But it's a lot of work. I believe it was another winemaker that contacted me. And he said, hey, I got these two vineyards that I just can't take care of, and I was wondering if you'd want to start doing that. Yeah, so about half acre each.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you acquire the skills to do that? Or was that something that you were confident going in that you were going to be able to do?
No, I was semi-confident. We had one class on viticulture for winemakers, but that's all. It didn't go in depth.
I imagine it's more like identifying the grapes that you want to pick and how to know.
Yeah, or like this is the type of training, vine training that you will see, and it just taught me nothing. So I really wanted to connect what I know, all the way from grape to glass. So I'm not taking care of all of my vineyards. This isn't Europe where we can afford, or we have that generational land where we can, didn't come from a family of winemakers or landowners. So I needed to have that knowledge to see what decisions that are made in the vineyard affect the kind of wine that I can make in the winery.
Mhm.
So
Got it. So
yeah.
interesting. I mean, is the goal eventually to own your own vineyard, or are you happy?
No,
This
no.
point, you've done it.
I
No
mean,
change.
I think it would be nice if I had like a half acre on my own property. And I lived there because I could go out, have a glass of wine in the evening and go, pick off snails and, prune or do whatever I need to do, shoot thin or leaf thin or something. but it's a lot to have to go out and do things within a certain amount of time and then go to the tasting room, and I've got kids and family and things. So if it was on my own property, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Well, the
anyone
key
wants to
is
donate.
her I was gonna say OnlyFans, but it's not OnlyFans.
No.
It's what's it called? The GoFundMe. Her GoFundMe
Yes,
is helping.
GoFundMe.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Much better.
I mean, maybe I should take some feet pictures in the vineyard and that'll get it going.
Oh, I don't know if you want that money. That's the
No,
question.
that's
So,
true. That's
exactly.
true.
And always remember, children are free labor. So that's
Yeah, they are. I also want them to be kids though, so they get a balance of seeing what the work is like, and they'll help me a little bit, but I also want them to be able to like run around and go play and have fun in the sunshine. So,
nice.
yeah.
You mentioned oysters with this wine, which I absolutely agree with. Any other food pairings? We love to talk about food pairings here on the virtual tastings. So any other food pairings that you would put with this?
It's a little higher acidity, so a higher acidity cheese. You could do like a maybe a goat cheese with like a yeah, that's a good question. Goat cheese or yeah.
I could definitely see a goat cheese. I would love to see this with like Mediterranean food. Like I think
Hmm.
this would be great with like hummus and dolmas, and because
Yes.
it's got
That
that good
lemon.
acidity, that brininess, that kind of crispness. I think it would pair just super well with a lot of those type
Yeah.
of dishes. Even olives, the aforementioned olives from Sicily would go well because you have that
Yeah.
salt to salt, brine to brine connection. I think would be
Yeah.
beautiful on this.
You got
And
it.
then I have to ask you, you have these adorable names for all of your wines. How did this one become a little something?
A little something. My husband's grandmother, she passed a few years ago, but she was a little 4'10" Mexican lady named Florentina. She would crochet all of us scarves every Christmas, and I had the same scarf for like 3 years in a row, and I'm like, "Thank you, Grandma," but she'd say, "Oh, it's just a little something." So it's a joke with the family, like, oh, it's just a little something. It's just a little something. So that was our, it's just a little something, a gift for you or a gift for you to give to someone else. Yeah,
That's phenomenal. I love that story.
yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the next wine, which is your 2022 Carbonic Grenache, aka Wheeze the Juice, bruh. Big Pauly Shore fan. What is your favorite Pauly Shore film?
I used to love Encino Man. That was my favorite for a while. Yeah,
Not his thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you gotta wheeze the juice, buddy.
Wheeze the Juice, bruh.
Uh-huh. Yep. So I just wanted to make a juicy wine, and that was light and refreshing, and I was like an icy, like a slushy wine. But of course I haven't made a slushy with it. I don't know if I could. But it was just my yeah, interpretation of it.
And you basically hit the ground running with Carbonic. I mean, it was one of the first wines you made. Most winemakers, I feel like Carbonic is one of those things that they build up to, simply because it's really the most terrifying style of winemaking, where you're putting the grapes in the box, sealing it, and you have no idea what's going to come out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a big tank, and I either put dry ice. The dry ice produces CO2, it displaces oxygen, or I'll just pump CO2 in to sparge it of oxygen, close the lid, and open it. This one was 2 weeks carbonic, so this is my like Capri Sun wine for adults. Yeah.
So how did Carbonic even enter the conversation back in
Yeah,
the
so that
day?
was the Susukaru wine that I had from Frank Cornelissen in Sicily. He did a carbonic maceration on that wine, and it was like mind blown. How is this wine? So it's a red wine or rosé, but it doesn't have all the tannin. Where did it go? It was interesting to me, and it was very sciencey, but
Mhm.
yet simple in a way because it's more ancient technique of making wine, you know, put them in the amphora, put a bunch of beeswax, seal it up, and open it when you have a party. Um,
This is
so
definitely a party wine.
yeah, yeah, thanks.
No,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, so you knew you wanted to make a carbonic. I mean, did you go out and buy the tank, or did you was the custom crush place you work in, did they have the
No,
means? Yes.
first year it was a half-ton macro bin, and we just pumped CO2 in and sealed it up tightly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've done it. I have two small wineries producing at my place this year, and we covered the macro bin with like a saran wrap type of plastic on top, and
Mhm.
because it doesn't touch the grape, so we're okay with that. And then again, sparged it with CO2 inside, and then sealed it up, and then it kind of puffs up. I've
Like
seen,
Jiffy Pop.
yeah, I've seen bird horse wines up north. I think they're in Healdsburg, maybe. They have these food grade giant plastic bags that they just tie up tight, and then as they, you know, the grapes start fermenting, it gets larger and starts puffing up with yeah, the CO2 that's produced. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. And this is the 2022. The Grenache we're gonna have is 2021, but these are from the same vineyard. So how
Yeah.
do you are they different lots, or are you just sort of separating them out? Are you picking them at different times? How are you deciding what goes
Yeah.
into what?
Yeah, so my grower, he lives on the property and he says, this is the rosé block and this is the red block. And I go, okay. But with the carbonic, he'll do that from the rosé block, because he knows I like to pick it a little bit earlier. And then probably 2 weeks later, when I come to get the reds, he takes me over to the red block and we get it from there. So it's about, rosé and the lighter ones are on a flat plain, and then the reds are kind of on a hillside, just over the hillside there.
Little
Yeah,
more elevation, a little cooler, so a little more
slightly,
developed
yeah.
flavors, I would
Hmm.
expect.
Yeah, this vineyard is really interesting. It's at the base of the Los Padres National Forest, east of Santa Maria, north of the 166. So it's technically SLO County. Um, and it gets this fog that rolls in that's just insane. They have a bear that ate 1 ton of grapes this last year.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's like
Like
there's
in a single
no
sitting, or just over the course of
over the
the
course, yeah, after they ripen. So it's like, there's no electric fencing for bears. There's no, netting. So
yeah,
they just say those are the bear's grapes. That's his block.
the, the angel bears share.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Has it always been carbonic Grenache for you, or are there other, have you made other carbonics, or do you want to experiment with other grapes to do carbonically?
Hmm. I don't know yet.
Hmm,
Well, we'll
okay.
see. For now, I like Grenache. I like how it gives that like candied strawberry, cherry, Jolly Rancher-ish quality. So, I've just kind of stuck with that. I really like it, so I've kept making it. I may add another carbonic at some point, but I don't know. I might have to. We'll see. We'll see.
Exactly. Play
Yeah.
around, whatever
Never say
whatever
never.
tickles your fancy.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, yeah, just such an interesting wine, light, fresh. How do you recommend serving this? Is this something that you would put a deep chill on, almost like a whiter rosé? Do you want it a little bit warmer? Is it great room temperature? What have you found is the best presentation for this one?
Yeah, not a deep chill, but yes, chilled is great. If you can put it in the fridge for 30 minutes before you eat, at least that would be great. It does nicely with that chill. It doesn't have a ton of acidity, so that kind of like brings it up, or yeah, it is easy to drink. Yeah, and yeah, I feel like yeah, just enough chill.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of
that's
like Pauly
science.
Shore, just enough chill.
I'm gonna put that on the website.
Yeah, please do. How many people actually get the reference when they come into your tasting room?
Yeah, there's probably one or two a weekend. That it's usually the men that'll like chuckle and be like, "Hey, yeah, I remember that." But every once in a while, yeah, a lady will say something, and we'll bond over that for a second. Then we always say like, but like, don't watch it again. It didn't age well, and it's Polly, you know."
I mean, you do get a shirtless Brendan Fraser, which isn't a bad thing.
Oh
Back in
yeah.
when Brendan Fraser could be shirtless. So
Yeah, very young, shirtless Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
exactly. Nice. I have to ask you about the artwork on the bottles because it's just beautiful line drawings and it almost has that like single line drawing feel to it. Who does them? It's tremendous.
Her name is Beth Cheney. Instagram is at Beth Cheney Artworks, and she is a high school art teacher in Bakersfield that also does murals and commissioned works, and she's just very talented. Yeah.
Nice. How did you come across her? Has she been a friend for a
You know,
while or?
I was friends with her husband, I think, in college first. We had lots of mutual friends. And yeah, just heard about how great she was as an artist and started following her on Instagram. And I yeah, reached out and we've been rolling with it ever since. So yeah.
Nice. Before we jump on to the next wine, you mentioned that you had this carbonic wine while you were in Sicily.
Mhm.
From those 4 years in Italy and Sicily, because it's such a unique, especially compared to the rest of Italy, such a unique wine growing region. Has any of that style or knowledge or anything you picked up there? Obviously, you were a stay-at-home mom there. You weren't making wine, but you were tasting a lot of it.
Mhm.
Has any of that kind of bled over into your winemaking now that you're back here in the States?
Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, my style, I sit between 11 and 13.5%. That's my happy place. I just really enjoy lighter, not overly oaked. I do all neutral oak. And then also there's a lot of natural wine in Sicily that I had never had before. So learning that natural wine can be good. It doesn't have to be full of faults and it tastes like kombucha or things like that, but it can be really beautiful and it really shows that terroir that elusive terroir that people talk about. If you don't overly filter the wine and things like that. So I pulled from that a lot from Sicily. Yeah, for sure.
I can imagine. So Stacy says this is delicious. You could easily drink a lot of this, and she's really loving the aromatics on it as well. How about some food pairings on this? Again, you kind of mentioned that this is your Capri Sun for adults. So are we leaning into, more kind of fun kids food, or what would you normally pair with
No, not
this?
necessarily. I mean, my kids like prosciutto, so I think like a prosciutto, like a mushroom brie, would go nicely with that.
Yeah, Carrie's saying a French onion soup with lots of Gruyere, which I think would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I love the prosciutto call because this has so much fruit to it and acidity that having that kind of fattiness and that saltiness really, I think, would round it out tremendously.
Yeah. Those crackers, has anyone had those crackers that have cranberries in them? They're like a flax chia cracker that has cranberries. Those with like a piece of cheese on it. Really, really great. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could even see some maybe not fully marinated, like super vinegary vegetables, but definitely like
Mm.
grilled zucchini, like maybe with a lot of olive oil on top of them. I think that just that fattiness would go well with that kind of high acid fruitiness to the wine.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's great.
Beautiful. All right. Well, let's move on from a carbonic Grenache to a straight Grenache. And I do want to ask you a little bit about natural winemaking, because all of your wines are very, very naturally made. How did you come to the decision that you were going to be a natural winemaker? Was this something you always wanted to do, or was it something that has kind of evolved as you've been making wine vintage to vintage?
Um, I wasn't using whole, organic fruit my first year, and some even my second year, it was just sustainable. Um, yeah, I love how these are unfiltered. Thank you. Yeah, it, what was the question again?
Just how you came to
Yeah.
natural winemaking and really making that the focus of Wildflower Wines.
Yeah, I try to buy organic food for my kids, and I was making bread from scratch because I felt like it made us all feel better, making sourdough. So I was doing all of these things in other areas of my life too, that I was picking out and making well and from scratch and everything. And I thought, why am I not doing that with wine as well? So when I started making wine, I enjoyed all of these other natural wines, Las Jarras, um, and things like that. And my sister said that when she goes to Paso, sometimes she gets headaches, and I'm like, well, that could be a number of things, but if I'm going to make wine, I want to make wines as naturally as possible, good wines as naturally as possible. Um, and so, yeah, I'm not 100% 0-0. I do add sulfur before bottling, once or twice during the aging process as well. Like I said, I want to make good wines. It's also scary making natural wines.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, hoping that the fermentation dries out all the way. You don't want residual sugar, things like that. So, yeah, it's scary, but it's also fun and interesting, and yeah, just kind of a ride that I really enjoy being on, I guess.
Is it one of those things where are you in constant communication with other natural winemakers, kind of sharing techniques? Because I imagine, you're learning on the fly, but with winemaking, you really only get one shot a year to kind of do things. And if something goes wrong, if you get the wrong kind of natural yeast in your fermentation, you're
Yeah.
you're done for a year, and there goes that expense.
Yeah. So I wasn't at first. It took a little bit. It was COVID and all of that. I had just moved back. I didn't really know all of the wine country people down here. So I just started following on Instagram people that I admired or liked their wine. I now have good friends that make natural wines. Tara Gomez from Camines to Dreams. Tara uh, Wine Co. Tara, I'm not sure how to say her last name. She's a
Yes.
Palestinian. Yeah.
Tara
But yep.
Bajalia, yes.
Yep.
You,
Yeah.
you you just mentioned our June and July featured wineries of the
Oh,
month, the
good.
clubs. So yes,
I'm glad that worked
little
out.
sneak preview here. Exactly.
Yeah. And lots of other people.
Basically, if your name is Tara and you make natural wine, we're going
Yeah.
to contact them.
Alice from Vive, all these people, and I would reach out if I had questions. If Anna Clifford, she makes Final Girl wines. She also has a day job and works for a bigger wine company, and so she's been just like a stable friend and a person I can go to with questions or advice. She's also a mom, so that work-life balance is nice to share with someone. But yeah, and then down here, my friend Patrick Cavaletti, he sometimes makes a natural wine. He's like, Natalie, try this. It's your style. But I also just respect what he does. He's like a master blender, and really appreciate all of his help in the vineyard. And he gives me so much advice and listens to me complain.
Nice. Yes, Patrick's a great guy. We featured him a couple of years ago in our club, and still enjoy his stuff. And he will be at the Festival of Forgotten Grapes. Little plug right there
Yep.
for Patrick, and bringing a lot of his uh, unusual varietals, which is one of the reasons we love him so much. But
Yeah,
clearly, the feeling is mutual. Mutual admiration society for Patrick. But
yeah.
no, this Grenache is fun. So take us through sort of your techniques when making this. As you mentioned, this is more of the hillside fruit, so a little cooler, a little higher elevation, picked at a slightly higher bricks, I imagine. And then what are what's your typical production method for this type of this wine?
Foot treaded.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have, it's called Among Friends, and that's because our, good friends that we made in Sicily, who were also, civilians working, they moved back to California as well. They came up and helped us pick these grapes, and then they helped us come back to the winery and stomp these grapes. So, this is kind of our appreciation to them, just good people that enjoy good wine. And, we, yeah, so they helped stomp these grapes. So it was pretty much whole cluster, foot shredded, and then in neutral oak for 7 months. So.
Is it painful to foot tread with whole cluster? I imagine, the
No,
stems are not soft.
No, they're not, but it does kind of help break up the grapes a little bit easier. So yeah, it's fine. We've done it both with boots on, but you get to a certain point where you're sinking down and you lose a boot in the grapes. You just have to embrace it and take off your socks and shoes. You clean your feet,
I was gonna ask, like, I assume there's a sanitation process, the
of
sanitization
course.
process that goes
Of
through.
course, there's an inspection of the toes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to kick somebody off of a oh,
No,
that hangnail's looking a little dodgy there, Steve.
no,
Sorry, buddy.
no, yeah. But yeah, it was, it's little things like that, bringing other people into our process and showing them what we do, and giving people a little piece of that, some ownership into it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. So
Yeah, so we
7 months in New French oak.
Mhm.
New French oak, you said?
Neutral.
Oh, neutral oak. Okay.
Hmm.
And you're doing neutral on pretty much all of your wines. Is that
Everything.
correct?
Hmm.
Are you doing everything in oak, or are you doing some in stainless, or?
Right now, whites in stainless, carbonic is in stainless, and orange wines, all of that in stainless.
Sure.
I did do a rosé this year that I did 70% in neutral oak
Hmm.
and 30% in stainless. So I've had a few barrel aged rosés that were really interesting. So I wanted to dip my toe in there and see how it came out. So
Nice. Is just using the neutral oak, is that more in line with the natural winemaking, or have you ever been tempted with this wine or with the Syrah or even the Sangiovese to bring in a little new oak?
no, I don't think I ever would with Sangiovese. Traditionally they do it in the giant fooders because
Right.
they don't want that addition of oak into the wine, or too much oxidation. So
Right.
um, yeah, I've tried to stick to the stylistic for that one. I do. Um, but no, I think I've had enough oaky wines, and I enjoy them from other people occasionally. I have friends that put some new oak on wine, and I think that that's interesting. But just for my program, I think that it doesn't quite fit, and I don't really care to at this point. But maybe in the future, who knows?
Yeah. No, it's I mean, you definitely get so much of the fruit and so much zingy acidity on this. It's really bright, fresh wine, and just so different from other Grenaches that are out there. And
Mhm.
Grenache, such a versatile grape, can be done in
Mhm.
such a variety of styles. This
I,
one's
I
just so
I
unique.
think I've made it 5 different ways. So yeah.
Have you done it? Have you done any, vertical tastings and kind of compared and
I think I'm
contrasted?
going to. I think that's going to be like a wine club night. I think we're gonna do something this summer. I have a couple bottle. I did a Carbonic Grenache rosé.
Mm.
And I also bottled 20 cases of that as pet nat. So I have both of those. I don't know. I got a little crazy.
Is
Yeah.
the pet nat just like the Veuve Clicquot you remember from grandma's?
No, it's a Carbonic Grenache rosé. So it's like light and fruity. It's strawberry candy, high acidity, but bubbly, and it's crazy. I need to open. I have 2 bottles
Oh,
left. So
oh wow.
yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna be opening those all willy-nilly like.
No, I feel like you open one for a really special occasion, and then the other one you hold it till you absolutely feel like it can't go any further. And then you either go, oh no, I shouldn't have opened this right now, or
Yeah.
okay, this is fun.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the beauty of the crown cap is that it's there. It's, it does have some lees in there, so it will change a little bit, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. Sorry, apparently we have interlopers, or there may be deer outside that are
Oh,
shocking Poppy. All right, Poppy, that's enough, girl. That's enough. So such a unique rosé. Let's talk food pairings with this one, with that high acidity. It doesn't have necessarily the like earthier notes that some Grenaches, especially like the Spanish Garnacha, have. But it's a beautiful wine. What would you pair this with? What food pairings do you think match up with this?
I mean, you could do the traditional. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
That's okay. I've got a
Uh,
dog growling. You got to sneeze. It's one of those nights.
I mean, you could do like a pork chop, or you could go hard and you could do like a birria, tacos or something.
Yeah.
I feel like any kind of Mexican food, it's really good with. Um,
I would love to see this with like spicy barbecue, like that tomato molasses style barbecue. And I think because of that high acidity, it could stand up to some pepper, some heat, some capsaicin in it. Yeah, it would be really interesting to pair this with some things. It's almost got kind of a juiciness and like a thirst quenchiness to it because of that high acidity.
mhm. Yeah, we for our wine club pickup this last fall, we did a barbecue joint, and it was, the burnt ends. It was really good. Yeah.
Nice. So Gene and Mike, you can do some barbecue jackfruit with this. They're our resident vegans, so we always have
Oh,
to come up with
nice.
some vegan options for them. So
Yeah, there's great options.
yeah, smoke some jackfruit and throw some nice barbecue sauce on top of this. It'd be fantastic. Um, no, it's really a fun wine. So is this one that you would serve with a chill as well? I feel like this one with a little bit of a chill on it, it would really resonate.
Yeah, you can definitely.
Nice.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Last but not least, let's talk about Domani, your Syrah from the Los Olivos region. So different vineyard, and this is your oldest one. This is your 2021.
Yeah, I had a 2020 Syrah also, but yeah, that's all sold out. So 2021 Syrah from MIra Laguna Vineyard. It's outside of Ballard in San Ynez. It's a real small 6-acre vineyard. Um, yeah, I love it. I get my Sangiovese there as well, and kind of the same thing. I foot treaded this, and it was about 80% whole cluster, meaning as I was foot treading it, I was pulling out stems. And when I got to what I think was about 80%, that's what I left. So um
Nice.
my Davis professors would keel over if they heard me say that. Everything
So
needs to be measured and exact and perfect.
yeah, no, that's not how winemaking works. Everybody
No.
knows that. But so for those that aren't familiar, doing pressing grapes, crushing grapes in a whole cluster style, what does it add? What does it bring? I think most people would think it brings more green notes because you've got the stems there, but is that it? Does it bring flavor? Does it bring acidity? What happens when you
Mhm.
include the stems?
Yeah, it can lower acidity a little bit or increase the pH, leaving the stems
Hmm,
slightly.
okay.
It can provide, slightly green notes. It can provide peppery notes, olive brine, olivey notes. That's what I really get from this one.
More tannin from the stems, or is
More
that not a
tannin.
factor?
Yep, tannin comes from stems, seeds, and skins. So, yep, you get that from there. And yeah, it was my notes say that it was on the skins for 16 days, so I only leave it on the skins for as long as fermentation, and then I press it. So once that juice that I sample goes dry. So
And you're using all natural yeast, so you're not inoculating this at all, just kind of
nope.
letting it sit there and whatever happens, happens.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah.
How do you keep it? I mean, is there any way to sort of wait off the bad yeast? Because I know that that can be an issue.
Not necessarily. So native yeast only takes the fermentation so far. It only takes it down a few percentages. And then Saccharomyces cerevisiae takes over for the rest to complete the fermentation. Should every time. So that is also a debate with terroir, is you're getting that from the yeast that comes in on the skins of the grapes. If you're in a facility that has been producing wine for a while, there should be a house yeast in there. There should be a good amount of Saccharomyces in there. So, yeah, I've never had a problem with it. I actually had a wine go dry this year at 17.8%. Got some late harvest.
Wow.
Yeah, so I feel like we have some good house yeast going. So,
It
um,
sounds like it. So I mean,
yeah.
it sounds like no stuck fermentations either, which is
No,
magic.
no,
Wow.
don't. I'm gonna knock on wood.
Sorry, yeah, don't want to jinx you. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I did move into my place, my own place at the end of harvest of 2022.
Okay,
So November of 2022. So we've been in our own space and opened up our tasting room last May.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
And you are in Ventura proper. What is it like
Yes.
having being one of the is there a big Ventura wine scene? Do you have other wineries around you?
There is, yeah. I have soon to be four other wineries around me. One is just on the other side of the highway and they're moving across the street. So we've got five wineries, two cideries, and four breweries. We're in between Topa Topa and Made West, and yeah, have a good little craft quarter going. We're working on marketing that soon. So it's a great and collaborative environment. The brewery behind us, Bright Spark, they brought their forklift over and helped us unload our press before we had our forklift. We've borrowed the corker from the winery across the street. Yeah, it's been good. So we've got a good little area. It's nice because we're close enough to LA, we're close enough to Santa Barbara, just kind of in the middle. We are in an industrial area, so not a whole ton of foot traffic, but yeah, we're working on marketing that a little more. But it's nice because I have production in the back, tasting room on the front, and like I said, space for my kids upstairs. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacy says these are all very low alcohol, which is nice and makes for a lighter mouthfeel, and they're very balanced. So lovely, lovely compliments there. Have you found, are there are there sort of biases from the people who come to visit because they think, oh, you're Ventura, you're not Santa Barbara? Obviously, you're sourcing your grapes from Santa Barbara County, slow. It's simply a matter of where you're making it. But I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of that, like, oh, you're a Ventura winery. How good can you be, kind of thing.
No, I find that we don't have a ton of wine connoisseurs that come in. It's more just the everyday drinker. So it's teaching them about the area and where we get the grapes, and that I farm a vineyard in Carpinteria. And you know, if I had, like I said, if I had land donated to me, I would want to plant in between Ventura and Santa Paula on the south facing hillside. It's got that same east-west airflow, and I feel like that could be a really good area, a really good region, great growing region. So it's just talking to people, and when people want to have their special wines, they go up to Santa Barbara. So I'm hoping that people can, yeah, I get a lot like, it's so nice that you have Santa Barbara fruit for the most part, you know,
Right.
but you're in Ventura. So I say, I go and I get the good fruit for you from these different areas. I bring it to our home. So.
Are most of your patrons local, or are you starting to
Yeah.
see more people from LA, or?
Yeah, a lot of them are local, but we definitely get people from LA every weekend. They'll either follow me from somewhere. I pour at various events, and they've either had my wine or they know someone that has, or uh, people just want to get out of the hustle and bustle. And so they're like, I'm going to Ventura for the day, and they get up here and then Google wine near me, and I come up. So yeah, it's been good. It's fun.
Yeah, Marcy's saying take the train, which I think you could figure out a combo deal with that. I mean,
Right.
Patrick's in Moore Park, which has a train stop. You're in Ventura, which has a train stop. Like, let's
Yeah,
do
the train stop isn't super close to us, but we can find someone. I'll have my husband come pick you up from the train and bring you over.
there you go. Napa has its wine train. You can have the Ventura County wine train.
There you go. We'll do that.
I love it. So how is this Syrah kind of differing from your other red program, or do you find you're making a lot of your reds in the same styles, the same techniques?
Um, yeah, it depends. I mean, Grenache, Syrah, and Sangiovese are so different from each other.
Right.
That I can make them in nearly the same style, no new oak, a lot of whole cluster, and they just turn out to be uniquely themselves. Like varietally correct, yet light and interesting. So yeah, I just kind of do what I feel is right. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean, it seems like you've kind of got your, I won't say house style, but
Mhm.
you know you're very confident in the way that you're making wines. And so what you're picking and what you're doing kind of fits within that, but obviously you're allowing variances to bend to the will of the grapes. But at the same time, you're not going to compromise the natural winemaking that you're instituting.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that 17.8 Grenache was a little outlier there, but I ended up making a port with that. So that will be above the 13.5% range that I stick in, but for a reason. So
Nice.
uh, yeah, I'm just trying to have fun. Life is short, trying to make what I like and stick to what I believe I should do and what fits, and yeah, have fun along the way.
Nice. So how about food pairings for the Syrah? What would you normally pair with something like that? It's a little richer, obviously. It's got some getting into more blue and black fruit notes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I had said. I mean, you could definitely do it with, well, now I want to go for not meat.
Well, you can do meat, and then we can kind of circle
Do-
around and do not meat. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it can hold up to like a steak, a stew.
Mm.
I've done so many different things with it. Pastas and um, grilled meats and veggies, and then just had it like with dessert, like a blueberry pie. I've done
Cool.
that, so yeah.
Yeah, or even something like super creamy and kind of vanilla, like a panna cotta or whatnot. This can almost
Mhm,
be the berry, the acid component to
mhm.
counter it, which would be great.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see that. So what does the future hold for Wildflower? First of all, how did you come up with the name Wildflower Winery?
Yeah, well, coming from California, our, state flower is the poppy. My daughter's name is Poppy.
Oh, my
Living.
beagle's name is Poppy.
Oh yeah.
Yes, let's see if we
Oh.
can there she is.
Aw.
Say hi, Poppy.
Yeah. Yeah, we called my grandpa Poppy, my Cherokee grandpa. When we lived in Sicily, they have the red poppies, and in Europe it's all the red poppies, and they were just so beautiful. Wildflowers just grow out of cracks in the ground. They grow where they shouldn't. And it's just something beautiful in the middle of all this urban stuff. So I just love wildflowers and how it brings some bright color after a dark, cold winter sometimes. So
I
yeah.
love it. That's a beautiful analogy for it.
Yeah, and we use native yeast, so that's a little wild.
There you go. Nice. So what does the future hold for you? I know you have some new wines with the 23s that you're making, and then we talked a little bit about kind of what your plans are for 24, but where do you want to see the winery go? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think I'm just having fun pouring for people on the weekends. We're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's interesting talking to people and educating people. I've told you this. I think I want to do some um wine classes or verticals and things like that of certain wines. So that's what I want to do. Really enjoy the education aspect and the collaborative aspect of it. Like I said, I have two other wineries producing at my space, so it's a lot of fun. I'd love for another winery to come in the same building or nearby so that we can share equipment and have a good time during harvest. It's a shared trauma time, so
That is true.
yeah. I think I keep pivoting pretty well, and when I've found that contracts don't work out, it's for a reason. My Grenache vineyard that I get all of my Grenache from is for sale right now. So if
Oh,
anyone has $5.6 million and wants 40 acres of grapes and 3 houses, and it is down a riverbed though, so I would suggest you put in a helipad so you can get out of there when it rains.
during the flooding. Good to know.
Yeah.
Or buy a hydrofoil.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'd be fun. I think that if that doesn't work out for this year, there's got to be something better on the other end of it. So,
Sure.
that's what I keep going and pushing forward and striving for to make good wines in my style that I'm proud of. So,
Nice. When you've got a lot of great contacts, I mean, you know,
mhm.
Tara Gomez will certainly point you in the right direction of some good Grenache.
Yeah, yeah, she does have that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
Stacy wants to know, because these are natural wines, how long do you think we can hold them to age? That's a great question, because I think that's always some people's issue with natural wines is because of the higher acidity, the neutral oak. They're always concerned about, oh, do I have to drink these now?
Yeah, I would say you have about 3 to 5 years. They're drinking lovely right now. So I would say right now and then for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
The corks that I use are good for long term. It's not the corks that were you know, there are some that are only good for 2 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
So it's good for a little bit of age on it, but as long as it's stored properly, I would say 3 years. Yeah.
And we didn't mention the name Domani for the Syrah, but how did that name come about?
Domani means tomorrow in Italian, so it's kind of like you're on island time, like relax, it'll get taken care of tomorrow. You know, your internet goes out, which happens often in Sicily, and you call the internet guy to come out and he's like, I'll come out tomorrow. And you know that he's not coming out tomorrow. He'll be there next Thursday, you know, and you just have to roll with it. You're like, okay, tomorrow, right? So it's just kind of like a relax, it'll get taken care of, just not on your time. So yeah.
Nice. Any interest in seeking out some of the great grapes that they produce there in Sicily and working with them? Obviously, I've started to see more and more Neradavola here in California. I think there's even some producing Nerello Macalese around here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any Grillo or some of the other whites or whatnot, but
Love to see some Catarato
oh
and
yeah.
Picante. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would love to. Those Narodavla, I think, is mostly Northern California. I'm just not seeing much of it down here.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe Sierra Foothills, but Santa Barbara, LA. I would love to tell someone, hey, can you plant this for me? It'll take, 4 years for it to mature, but yeah, I would love that if some came available down here, I would definitely jump on that. I've already got the Sangiovese, so and Primitivo, so
Nice.
yeah, we'll see.
And I know you're also we talked about you making a rosé, or no, I'm sorry, not a rosé, but you did two different Rieslings this year.
Hmm. Yeah,
Talk us through those.
so I brought in 1 ton of Riesling, and I ended up making half of that in skin contact. So I did 9 days of skin contact on that one. And the other half I did direct press. So I did that with the intention of seeing where it went, kind of experimenting, and maybe at the end I would blend them together. But if not, then I had 2 really excellent wines, and it really came out really interesting how some grapes picked on the same day from the same block came in, and just with a little bit of different handling, native yeast fermented even, they both are really interesting and really fun. So I'm excited about that one. Yeah, those two.
Nice. And then anything else on the horizon? Stacy kind of followed up. Any other grapes that you're looking to use, or anything out there that you're really sort of desperately, really want to get your hands on, kind of your dream grape or your dream wine style to produce? You mentioned, at the beginning, sparkling was your most memorable bottle. Are you looking to do more of a traditional, method traditional, or a traditional champagne style?
No, I really like the ancestral method. So ancestral method is pet nat. I really like that. I think it's interesting, and uh I I'll continue to make it that way in that style unless I shipped the wine off somewhere else to have it made, which I don't like. It takes away my control.
Right.
But yeah, I do make a Chardonnay pet nat. I've made it from this year was the third vineyard, so I've switched 3 times. Um, and it's really interesting. But yeah, I made the Primitivo Pet Nat, and that was really fun. And it's already, I think I've got like 15 cases left, and I made 55, and those were released in December. So that's been a good one. Everyone loves red bubbles.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I tend to wait until fruit set, or at least bud break. Things can affect contracts, and if you get in too early and then they say, oh, we're not going to have enough fruit for you, that's kind of a bummer.
Right.
Um, but we'll see what happens with the Grenache vineyard. Maybe we'll switch that up. And I am making a Cinsault this year. I was kind of I wasn't pushed. I decided I was, only a Central Coast. I was like, I just do cool climate, wines, that's my style. And then I was like, well, there's this really good organic Primitivo out here in LA that's desert. I was like, no, desert's different. It's too hard. Like, it's a roller coaster of emotions before harvest. But I decided to go for it. And that was really awesome. A really cool experience. It was like I said, a roller coaster trying to figure out when to pick and where the sugar and acidity was going. And then we had that hurricane.
Yes.
So things like that. It's just do I want to be pushed and go somewhere else again? So we'll see. Yeah. I'll see what grapes are available, and right now I'm open, as you can tell. And yeah.
You're adhering to the Bruce Lee philosophy. Be like water.
Yes. Yeah. The Riesling will be released. Our wine club pickup is in a couple weeks. It's April 27th. We're having a party, and then I will release the wines after that. So soon. Yeah. We just bottled this last weekend.
So contact Natalie and get your name on the list for the any Riesling that is left over after the club members get to pick through it. Speaking of which, if folks are coming up to Ventura, want to visit you on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if they just want to get in touch or pick up more wines, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you and come and visit?
Yeah, definitely. You can either email me if you want to make sure that I'm there, or text. I have the business line as my phone number. So Natalie at wildflowerwineryventura.com, or 805-613-7036. That's our business line. And then I'm there most Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday 2 to 8. That's our late night. And then Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 6. Yeah, so come on
Beautiful.
up.
And we will, in the email, when we send out the link to the replay tomorrow, we'll include all that information on it. Well, thank you so much for being here. And if you don't mind sticking around for a couple of minutes, I know it's 8 o'clock and I know you've got
Sure.
kids, but we'll open it up for questions. Just for everybody, for next month, the email will be going out next week. We're doing something fun next month, thanks to Allison. We had so much fun with Lisa Tupet's last year and her German wines, being a German importer. Allison has a friend who is an Italian importer and has a company called Vero Vino, which has a warehouse in Ventura. But we're going to actually be featuring 5 Italian varietals, including I believe 3 forgotten grape varietals that you probably never had before. So we're really, really excited to bring some true Italian wines, but Italian forgotten grapes into the mix next month. So keep an eye out for the email that'll be coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And at this point, if you want to unmute yourself. Thank you again, Natalie, for being here. We appreciate it. Your wines are fantastic. And wildflowerwineryventura.com. If you want to visit, you can purchase directly from the website, or you can contact Natalie. I think the contact information is all there as well. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves, looks like Carrie's going to jump in here.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I want to issue a correction about that food pairing that we put down. It's not our fault. The servants gave us the wines in the wrong order. So that pairing was actually for the Grenache, not the Carbonic Grenache.
Because of the higher acid.
Yeah.
That's where I was thinking you need that meaty broth and some really fat cheese, to really... Other things with that amount of the acid, it really needed something that was like fighting fat and fighting umami, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I can definitely see that with the regular Grenache, because it's got a little bit more weight and heft, but still that great acidity. And hopefully you have had the servants not only fired but beheaded.
Oh, flayed. They've been flayed.
Oh, good.
Flogged. The flayed is the next step after.
And then we'll draw and quarter them as well, just to be sure. So I think that's
we have the tar and the feathers waiting.
But I actually,
that's a little showy.
Yeah, what the hell?
You know, it could be a festive occasion for everyone involved.
Exactly.
So, the other thing I want to ask is that, Natalie, I got to stop by your table at Garage East up in Solvang.
Yeah.
And I think you were there both Friday night and Saturday night. Anyway, you had your skin contact Albarino, and I don't remember. I don't have a lot of notes down, so I can't remember if I asked you more about that. I really liked it, but like, you know, how long was that on the skins? You know, how did you treat that compared to the way you treat, you know, some of the other wines you do? And you're making more than one skin contact, you said?
No, so I did not do Albarino this year. This year I did Riesling. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, for 2 years I did Albarino, and then I couldn't get the fruit again.
Yeah.
That's too
Someone bigger bought it all.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, that was on the skins for 8 days. So I did the same. I foot treaded that also. The year before I did some destemming, so depends. Sometimes it's just me in the cellar, and so it's a little difficult to use the destemmer on my own. So
Yeah.
just start foot treading and get it going that way. So that kind of influences depending on the year and the day, if my husband has the day off or if a friend is helping. But yeah, 8 days of skin contact on that one.
Yeah, nice.
How
Yeah,
does your husband feel about the wine industry? I mean, obviously I've met him a couple of times now, but is he seems pretty enthusiastic about your business.
He is, like I said, he's very supportive. He uh doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about scores or anything. He'll analyze a wine, but he doesn't really care to. And he's like, I just want to enjoy it. So that's all that matters to him, which I love. So yeah, it's great.
Nice. And are there any, you've worked with so many different techniques, winemaking techniques. I mean, carbonic, skin contact, pet nat. I mean, are there any techniques out there that you're looking to explore? I mean, it feels like amphora would be the next sort of frontier for you, but I
If
don't know what
someone
else is
wants
out
to
there.
make one for me that's cheaper, that'd be great. But they're like $5,000 and they hold like a quarter of a ton. It doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Yeah.
I would have to increase the price of my wines quite a bit, and I'm trying to keep everything pretty reasonable. I don't want to spend $50 on a white wine or a
Right.
rosé. So I'm open to trying just about anything. Like I said, I made a port this year. I did not have that on my bingo card for 2023. So yeah, I'm definitely open to anything, but yeah.
I'm
So
excited for you figuring out a
Portuguese
way to set
wines?
botrytis into a Viognier lot and making your own Sauterne.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Sorry, Cameron, what'd you say? Oh,
I was just asking if she was doing it with like the Tintos and the Portuguese varietals or with Zinfandel, which tends to be more of a California thing for
Mm.
ports. What,
No.
what grapes did you use?
I made it with Grenache.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. So 1 ton got 3 barrels. I ended up pitching in about 18 gallons of 95.6% brandy.
Wow.
Yep.
It was delicious. It was really hot at first. But it's mellowed out and it's just so good. There's Ruby Port, that's about 1 year, and then Tawny is 3 to 5 years. So I don't know. I think we'll bottle some of it this year
Oh,
and
that'd be awesome.
yeah, and do a Ruby because it's just so good right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll wait and see what happens with the rest. So yeah.
nice. Awesome. Any other questions for Natalie, or we will let her get back to her husband and kids and her fermentations?
Oh, they're fine.
Are you making any, are you fermenting anything these days? Sourdough, kombucha?
I looked for pineapples at the store today because I want to do another batch of tepache. Have you ever done that?
I have not, no.
Yeah, it's a Mexican drink that you use the skins of the pineapple, so it's really nice. I put the skins of the pineapple, one of the pillars of the piloncillo or brown sugar in, and fill up a gallon jar with water.
Wow.
I put in a stick of cinnamon, sometimes like a dried habanero or
Yeah, I could see that.
chili pepper
great.
for a day. But it starts fermenting within like a day or two and goes, dry pretty quickly. You can put it in Grolsch, flip top bottles and then put it in your fridge and it'll be a nice fizzy pineapple drink and it's really nice.
I am going to the wrong Mexican restaurants. I'm used to
Never had it in a restaurant.
Jamaica, horchata, and orange bang.
Jamaica. Oh my goodness, Chris.
Jamaica.
Hi.
Jamaica, say you won't.
Jamaica.
Jamaica me crazy.
Jamaica.
I had two questions about like your rosé because it's interesting, like how you use Pinot and it's like actually a little bit higher alcohol. So I mean, I'm a huge rosé fan. Typically the Provence style, but would like to hear your information on your rosé, and then also since you use rosé of Pinot, but you don't have a Pinot. And I've had unfiltered Pinots and, in our organic style, I think that would be a really fun thing. Tasting, I mean, your wines are really, really good. I've had other natural wines that aren't as good.
Yeah.
So I would love to try your Pinot. Wondered if you would do that. But like I said, interesting to hear your take on the rosé, and will you ever do a Pinot? Or why haven't you done one yet?
Yeah, a Pinot.
I think I know the answer to why she hasn't done a Pinot.
No, I don't. I mean, I'll never say never, but I have no desire to make a Pinot right now, at least a traditional red style Pinot. I feel that Burgundy has done that, and there's so many lovely Oregon Pinots, and people do that really, really well. I made a rosé of Pinot because the two vineyards that I take care of are Pinot Noir. So that fruit was from one of those 2 years ago in 2022. I think I only have one bottle of it left on the site because I'm sold out of it. It was really lovely. It was a nice rosé. We also had to pick a little bit early because there's a lot of ocean influence and it was getting too much humidity. So we needed to pick those. So I was happy to make a rosé from that because I didn't have a rosé that year. 2020, I did a rosé of Grenache. 2021, I did that Carbonic Grenache rosé. So my rosés are all kind of different. So and then this year I made the rosé of Grenache, but did the 70% neutral oak and yeah. So right now I say no, I will not make a red Pinot, but we'll see. You got any fruit? Is it free?
Yeah.
Okay.
$1,000 a ton Pinot. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when is the rosé of Grenache? When is that coming out that you said? Because I know your Riesling, you said in what, 2 weeks basically, but
Yep.
when's
Same.
the rosé? Same?
Yep. Yeah, we bottled the 2 Rieslings, a new Viognier. This fruit was from Zacamesa this year. And then the Riesling and then the new Carbonic Grenache. Wheeze the juice. This year I did 4 weeks Carbonic. So it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. We have, I mean, again, like I said, all of them are delicious. And I'm on your website. Like, that's why I was like asking questions and looking at, I saw the color of the Albarino and first I saw Albarino and then the color of it. I was like, oh, that's super unique and interesting. So we have friends that couldn't make it tonight. They're usually on here and they're very upset to miss it. So I'm going to email you and I want to order one of each. And then I was like, ooh, to make a case, I need 2. So I was like, okay, can I get the Riesling and the rosé? So I'll email you after we get offline and
sounds good.
Check all the boxes, like either the Brady Bunch and check.
Yes.
And tic-tac-toe and
sounds good. Yeah.
But no, it's been fantastic. And it's really, really fun and loved hearing your story. And I have a billion more questions, but I won't ask them now. So I know you have kids, and you saw my son who's 8 pop in a couple times, and
Yeah.
but we appreciate but you did also get now your alone time. So that's
Yes. Yeah.
so that's a good thing for you. Yeah. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
exactly.
They're very
And
delicious.
my
Thank you.
Poppy is very
Thank
angry
you.
at something outside, so
Aw.
I get it. Yes, exactly. That's
Throw her
right.
a treat.
She's our guard dog. I will. She's one of our book stars here in the house. So
Nice.
beautiful. Awesome. Well, if there's no other questions, hold that. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. We appreciate you being here. This was fantastic. Again, amazing wines, but super educational. Lots of great learning. And again, if anybody wants to get in touch with her, Natalie at wildflowerwineryventura.com, or just search Wildflower Winery Ventura. You can stumble upon that. And yes, and hopefully we will all see you back here next month for our Italian sojourn, which I'm really looking forward to. Some really, really interesting wines that we're going to be focused on there. No Sangioveses, but other fun stuff. So
I'll have to come back for that one.
yes, exactly. We'll put
Thank
you on
you
the
so
list.
much.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun, guys.
Awesome. All
Thanks,
right.
Nathan.
Thank you so much,
Natalie.
everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Thank you.